Welcome into Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and oh my goodness. Breaking news from the clouds. The Seattle Seahawks have acquired wide receiver Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. I didn't see this trade coming. Now, did I believe that Shaheed could be traded away from the New Orleans Saints? Of course, that was kind of the scuttlebutt. The Saints suck. And well, there are plenty of teams that need a wide receiver. The Seahawks don't necessarily need a wide receiver, but it does make sense why they would bring in Shaheed, and we're going to get into that and all the full details of the trade in just a moment. But I need to make sure that you know this is why you subscribe to the channel. We have breaking Seahawks news the minute that it comes out. We're firing off a video. You don't want to miss it. Within 5 minutes, I had a short out telling you all the details that we knew at that moment. And then, of course, we're going to do a full breakdown video that you're watching right now. So subscribe to the channel. Help us out here so that we can make sure that you are the most informed Seahawk fan as possible. Now, Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, he broke the trade, and it was that the Saints were sending wide receiver Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. And then after a couple minutes, the full details of the trade did come out. Seattle, they're going to get Rashid Shaheed back in on this trade. And then the Seahawks traded away a fourth round and a fifth round pick in 2026. Now, I think this is a good initial trade for the Seahawks. Why? When you were hearing rumors around Shaheed, the scuttlebutt was that he was worth a third round pick. That is a day 2 pick. It's important to remember that because there are plenty of really good wide receivers that have been picked up in that third round. DK Metcalf is one that comes to my mind, right? So when you are looking at those end of the day 2 picks, there's still quality wide receivers out there. Rashid Shaheed is a proven quality wide receiver in the NFL. So if the Seahawks were going to make a trade for him, they needed to bring him in for a fair dollar amount, a fair value. I think that a fourth and fifth is a perfect trade value for him. They're day 3 picks. Those are picks that, in my eyes, maybe they hit and turn into something really good, right? Torrey Horton. Or maybe they turn into nothing. Maybe they end up being a player that doesn't pan out. Well, you already know that Rashid Shaheed is going to pan out, and he's going to fit into the system that you already have. So I think it is a good trade for the Seahawks. You get a quality player, and you get a player that you know for 100% fact is going to be good to go for you and is going to help you in the long term. The other thing that I think is important here is that he fits into the Klint Kubiak system. Rashid Shaheed has already worked with Klint Kubiak. And so I'll dive into the different avenues that the Seahawks can use him in and how Klint Kubiak can help elongate his career. And now you have some big explosive play possibilities that you might not have had. But before I get into that, I do want to talk to you about today's proud sponsor, and that, of course, is Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. I have a little 3-pick power play here for this weekend. Bo Nix, his pass completion more. Ashton Genty, his receiving yards more. And Brock Bowers, his receptions more. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So, I told you that I thought it would be a big deal that Klint Kubiak was adding Rashid Shaheed to his offense. And when you look at this new wide receiver room in Seattle, this is why. You have 3 players in this crew that at any moment can go deep and get a huge, gigantic play for the Seahawks and get a big TD. Jackson Smith-Njigba, we know at any moment he can be gone. He's the best receiver in the NFL right now. Torrey Horton has shown that he's an end zone magnet. 13 receptions so far in his rookie year. Five touchdowns. How important is that? Rashid Shaheed, well, all the dude does is make big plays and get big time catches. You can see it right here in his 2025 stats. He's at 500 yards, and obviously the Saints have been feeding him. They've been trying to get up his stats because they wanted to get more in trade value for him. Don't care. I'm totally okay with that because look at the long touchdown. Look at where he's at right now. 87 yards is his long on the year. How many wide receivers can catch the ball in the NFL and go 87 yards? Not many of them. Not many of them. And you're going to now get a Rashid Shaheed that when he was in New Orleans, there was always safety help over the top. Why? Because he was the big play threat. Chris Olave was good, right? He's great. He makes plays underneath. He's able to get big-time catches, but he doesn't stretch the defense or demand the amount of eyeballs that Jackson Smith-Njigba does. Jackson Smith-Njigba has gotten Torrey Horton all 5 of his touchdowns because teams haven't been able to lock in, focus on Torrey Horton. Now you're telling me I get in a slightly faster version of Torrey Horton with a little more experience that can absolutely explode because he's going to be the 3rd or 4th guy that people are viewing? Oh, boy, does that excite me. I mean, just look at the career stats. The 2023 year is the one that I think is most important because that's where you saw Rashid Shaheed have his best year, his biggest explosion, right? He had 719 yards. This year, he's on pace to well exceed that, and I think he will because of what Seattle is going to ask out of him. Seattle is going to use him as a big play threat. When Shaheed catches the ball or the ball gets thrown to him, big things are going to happen. Don't be shocked if at the end of the year, Rashid Shaheed is right at that 1,000-yard mark. And it's going to be largely on big plays, big catches, big movements. Now, Clint Kubiak, all those cute plays that I was getting frustrated with, well, you can run some cute plays for this guy. You can run some jet sweep action. You can get the ball out to him quick on screens because if he makes one man miss, no one's going to run him down. You don't just have to use him on that vert ball. You don't just have to use him on a post route. And the biggest thing, and I can't reiterate this enough, is he's playing on the same team as Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the straw that stirs the drink. He is going to open up everything for Shaheed. He is going to allow Shaheed to get more one-on-one matchups that he can take advantage of. And if teams aren't going to press him or cover him in man and cover Shaheed in zone, it opens up stuff for everyone else underneath. If you go back through and you look at the last game the Seahawks played against the Commanders, every single touchdown was a one-on-one setup where the Commanders were double-teaming JSN and then Torrey Horton just won or Elijah Arroyo just won. Now you're telling me I get an even faster guy? He's just going to win. When you look at the Seahawks trade right now, it is not a trade that I started off this day expecting the Seahawks to make. If I had to go through it, I would not have been happy early on this morning if you told me, hey, Rashid Shaheed is going to be a Seahawk. After looking at it and diving through all the ins and outs of this trade and what Shaheed can do for your Seattle Seahawks, if I had to go through and get my red pen out and grade this trade, I would tell you right now, I think this is a strong B trade for the Seahawks. You are strengthening a position behind a player that now gives you the take the top off the defense opportunities at a moment's notice. You are also adding a player that already knows the Clint Kubiak system. He is a player that you can plug in and play tomorrow against the Arizona Cardinals. There will be plays for Shaheed. Shaheed will be used on Sunday. I guarantee it. And he's only going to get used more and more and more. This is a position that, frankly, I don't necessarily think that you need a whole lot from because you're already getting so much. But it will open up things for JSN as well. Because if Shaheed beats a team deep, guess what? They're going to focus a little bit more on Shaheed and a little bit less on JSN, just opening things up for him more. He fits your offense. He fits your scheme. He fits your system. Well, it might not be a position that you were dying for, clamoring for. He does give you more depth, more special teams ability, and most importantly, he gives this offense one thing that they haven't quite had, and that's the big play pop explosion. I'd give this a B. You let me know down below in the comments what this trade gives you. This is why you subscribe, though. You do not want to miss breaking news action for your Seattle Seahawks. We're here instantly breaking down the news, breaking down the trade, letting you know what's most important about the move for the Seahawks. Because the Seahawks adding Rashid Shaheed just made this team a whole lot more dangerous. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it'll be the very last move that the Seahawks make. I'm excited to get Rashid Shaheed in Seattle. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show, and I will see you next time.